Welcome into another episode of For Your Health, podcast sponsored by Roane General Hospital. I am normally your host, Andrew Miller. Today is going to be new territory for me. If you've watched the podcast in the many episodes we've had before, I am usually not sitting on this side of the table. I'm usually on the other side of the table. Today, I'm not the interviewer. Today, I'm not the host. Today, I am the guest on this podcast. And when we were thinking about doing this, we thought, well, who in the world is going to interview me and why? What a better human being to have than my longtime best friend, John Peña, who agreed to come on here and agreed to grill me on my prospective health journey. And it's a long one, folks. It is up and down, side to side, back and forth, everything you can get. I don't know the questions that he's going to ask me. I don't know what we're going to get into. I got to say, I'm a little bit nervous about this. It's a whole lot better when I've got the sheet in front of me and I have a general idea what's going on here. So, number one, John, thank you for coming in here today. You mentioned to me, I said, I wanted to come over and hang out with you because I wanted to kind of put something together. And when I said that, you said, dude, I've already got questions I want to ask you. So I guess thanks for coming. And this shoot from the hip. I'm ready. I'm not, but I guess I'm ready.
Well, thanks for having me. I was excited when you told me that this is something that you wanted to do. Of course, you and I have been best buds for a long time, and we spent a lot of time together throughout the entire year through broadcasting and through just hanging out and being buddies. So, I wanted people out there to be able to kind of hear your story and listen to what has kind of got you to this point. So I automatically had questions in my head,
You may have had questions
prior to, right? But I was excited for it, excited for other people to kind of get a look in and to, understand how Drew Miller has got to the point that we are right now. So we'll kind of dive into this thing right now.
Okay.
But, I know a lot about you. Our friend group knows a lot about each other. So some things out there that folks may not know about you is, right now you're the owner of the radio station. Yeah. You've had many different job titles over the years. But let's talk about early on sports.
Okay.
And things that you really enjoyed as a youngster, and that kind of part goes with the athleticism.
Yeah. So it was funny you want to talk about the youth thing. I was just having a conversation with my mother. In fact, Saturday, I had walked downtown and walked down to the house there, and she was sitting on the front porch, and she was talking about how I was always a very active kid. I was always out and about wanting to do things, and she likened the story of when I was 3 years old, I had a tricycle, and I used to ride that thing all around down on Church Street.
Right.
We had
Same place.
Yeah. But one day, Church Street's little cul-de-sac there wasn't enough for me at 3 years old, so I decided I was going to take off and ride my bicycle or my tricycle all the way up Church Street down to Main Street, and I didn't have any idea why. And so, the cops were called, and they had to find me Church Street there. So always had a sense of adventure, always had a sense of moving and being active, and that transitioned naturally into sports. Started playing sports from an early age. First, it was baseball, and immediately following that, it was basketball. That all started when I was probably 5 years old, midget league, stuff like that. Golf came into the picture very early on. My first year of football, I was 8 years old, and just something about working hard, competition, testing yourself, pushing yourself, it just resonated with me. And so I dug into sports with everything I had, and I played every sport I could with everything I had until I graduated high school. I was a 4-sport letterman at Roane County High School.
The first?
The first, yes, yeah. Pat myself on the back.
The first state qualifier at golf.
Yeah.
From Roane County High School.
Yeah, he's bringing my accolades into this. Thank you.
I got a couple things I can add to this.
And I always wanted to excel. I didn't want to just play sports to enjoy them. I really dug in, and I was really competitive. I wanted to be the best I could be at every single sport. So I played football, basketball, baseball, and golf in high school, and continued a lot of that stuff into college. I attempted to make the baseball team at WVU. Obviously, I wasn't good enough for that. That was a different world of good.
Well, I do remember the training regiment that you had at that point, and wow, it was impressive. Even back then, you were really getting after it, and you gave it your best shot.
Yeah, I always thought I could have gone maybe to a smaller school and played, but my heart was always in WVU. My heart was in West Virginia University. I was going to go there, and so since I was going to go there, why not try it? But even in college, I was very active in college. I played pickup basketball, which is pretty competitive up there, by the way. At Stansbury. I mean, there was a lot of competitive games. So I played basketball competitively. Still continued to play golf, and just stayed active.
Walking around Morgantown is one thing. Where the trailer was behind the stadium, that was a hike.
Anywhere in West Virginia University is a hike. Yeah, if you go to school at WVU, you're active.
Yes.
Just by walking to different classes. It's a spread out campus. I stayed active, and I always had a love of running, not sprinting running. I always enjoyed jogging. That came from my father.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, my sister and I would run with my dad around town. We always had loops, different types of loops around Spencer, and so I developed a significant enjoyment of jogging. People talk about runner's euphoria. Is it a thing? Is it not a thing? I felt it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but I felt a genuine sense of euphoria when I ran. And that'll tailgate, that'll tail what I'm assuming we're going to talk about maybe here in a little while. But yeah, I always enjoyed running. Hated biking at that point, which is weird because I loved biking as a kid. But definitely being on my feet, moving, was a lot of fun for me.
One of the things you did as well when you were a little bit older, you worked at the gym.
Yeah.
You were a trainer at the gym. So those are things that you'd picked up from when you were a kid, things that you had done through high school and things like that, and you brought it into the gym.
It was pretty easy to do. I worked at the fitness center in its previous iteration here before all of the really wonderful upgrades that they've done. I graduated from WVU in 2001, 2002. Gosh, I can't even remember. It's been so long.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a few. I graduated in 2002 and decided to come back during the summer as I was applying for graduate schools. And I came back and got a job here, and I was working another job as well. And the grad school route didn't work. And so I found myself a college graduate with a degree that was very difficult to get into without a lot of experience. And at that time, the middle school had a job opening for an athletic director. And I thought, well, this is perfect. So I worked as an athletic director for Spencer Middle School. And while I was doing that, I also worked at the fitness center. It was a good way to keep me active. I was active through college, and so it was a good way to keep me active those first couple of years out of school. Working there was a lot of fun, obviously, and just picking up knowledge of what was necessary to be healthy. Now, picking up the knowledge doesn't mean I always followed it, but yeah.
Right. So we're going to speak about that a little bit because as you get older and you get out of the sports thing and you're getting into the workforce.
Yeah.
It makes it difficult to stay on track and do those kind of things. You have a lot of different things going on. So the work, you with your degree. You were the athletic director. Then things changed for you a little bit. You found yourself teaching.
Eventually, yeah.
Eventually. There was a few things in between there, right? But you did find yourself teaching.
Yeah.
And you were not only teaching, but you were going to school for that on top of broadcasting, on top of helping some crazy guy coach youth football.
That crazy guy is in the other video over there. Yeah, so glossing quickly over my 20s, everybody has a plan, or they think they have a plan. I had a plan coming out of college of what I was going to do. I was going to conquer the world. I was going to become a collegiate athletic director. I was going to be whatever it was. I was going to work in sports because sports was my life growing up, and that was it. And it just didn't work out that way. I lost the sense of excitement for that field. And through that, I ended up just going different ways. I worked many different jobs. I ended up in my late 20s as an advertising salesman for the newspaper here, the local newspaper in Spencer. I was a golf caddy.
Yeah.
I did a lot of different things in my 20s, and nothing ever stuck. When I look back now as a 46-year-old, I'm like, well, everything led me to something good. And all those missteps, whatever you want to call it, all of those trip hazards that I had led me to this. And they were great experiences nonetheless, and great teaching moments, if nothing else. But yeah, in my early 30s, I had people I would assume at this point know about the run. I was able to complete a cross-continent run in 2011 from California to Spencer, and that people talk about that still to this day with me, and they're like, "What was that like?" All that. And in the terms of what we're talking about today, everything in my life I consider BR, AR, before run, after run. And so when you mention you were going to grad school, you were teaching, you were coaching, you were broadcasting, thank goodness I had that run underneath my belt, because mentally, physically, emotionally, I would not have been able to tolerate that stuff.
Well, the run, let's talk about that a little bit closer.
Okay.
So I'll never forget the day you told me. Now, me knowing you very well for 30 years plus, you told me that day that you were going to run. And for just the split second, I thought you were crazy. But then knowing you, it was just an automatic thing. Okay, he's going to do this. And at that point, you and I were both kind of on this little bit of a health kick, and we were trying to push each other and things like that. But I will never forget that moment. And as soon as you said it, split second, I thought, this guy's crazy. Wait a minute. This is Drew, one of the most stubborn people I know, in a good way, in a bad way. But I knew that you were going to complete that once you set out to do that. And, it was awesome to watch you do that from afar. And to get home and to to really just to set your mind to something and do that. And when you got back, things were just, you were kind of on that high, and then things kind of went back, right? You slowly kind of got back into normal life and working and figuring those things out.
I'll talk about when I told you about this run.
Yeah.
At that moment in my life, I weighed 270 pounds. I was severely out of shape at that point. And as I said, we're going to gloss over my 20s because we don't have that much time, and we need a therapist in here for that.
Right.
But let's just say things didn't pan out well, and I didn't know how to fail. I didn't know how, because everything I'd ever done, I had succeeded in. I was a good student. I was a successful athlete. All that thing, I didn't know how to fail. Mm-hmm. I knew how to fail, like I knew how to lose at a game or something like that as a sport. I didn't know how to fail at life. I was unprepared for that. And so that's why my 20s were, in the end, although it didn't seem like it for a long time, man. And you were right there watching me fail epically. But I think that I had to go through those kind of things. And when I told you I was going to do that, it was one of those things that I had to get back to that athlete that I once was, that competitive spirit inside of me that I am, as you said, stubborn, will not give up, I will not quit. Now, call it nature nurture, the nature of who I was. My father was certainly a stubborn human being when it came to certain things. My mom in other ways, both of them quite stubborn in their own way. So I guess I got a lot of that from both of them.
You can say stubborn, but they also work very hard.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the plus to it.
And also, I've said this to numerous people about the run. You have to be a little nuts to even attempt something like that. I didn't think I was nuts until I did it, and I was like, you got to be nuts.
Yes.
You got to be a little crazy. So I come back from that, and that was a real nice kick to me. I failed miserably and succeeded so much in those 5 months.
Right.
In many different ways.
Every day there was a success and a failure.
And it was physically, it was mentally, and it was emotionally, and even spiritually.
Yeah.
I failed and succeeded for 5 months. And as I told you when I got back, I cleaned the closet out. I cleaned out everything in my body. So at age 32, I was starting new.
Right.
And I knew how to fail at life because I had failed miserably. And I knew that I would never fail at life again. I may go through some hard times. I've certainly gone through plenty of tough times, but I was prepared. And I've always, since then, I've been prepared for anything that comes my way.
Yeah.
But you can be as prepared as you want, and still life is hard. And life was hard doing all the things I was doing to try to become what I wanted to become. I decided I wanted to be a special education teacher. To do that meant I had to go to school. Well, I also needed a job, and so I was long-term subbing. I had done what I needed to do to get in graduate school online at Fairmont State. I was broadcasting still at that moment. We'd been broadcasting since 2007, so I wasn't giving that up. And you were coaching midget league football and asked me if I'd be interested, and I said never. Went to one practice and said I'll never quit. And so
game over then.
Yeah. So life is interesting, and life was challenging at that moment, but I was prepared to survive that.
Yeah.
But surviving it doesn't mean that I am making the greatest choices, and I didn't make the greatest choices. And so I found myself, when I got back from the run, I was obviously in tremendous shape. You can't not do that.
So give us the actual stats on the run.
The stats. So when I left, when I started training, I weighed 270 pounds, which was the heaviest I'd ever been by a long shot.
Started with your feet in the ocean.
Yeah. Well, so when I started training in January, I was 270, and I did 2-a-days at the fitness center and outside. I didn't know how to train for this. You can't. Honestly, you can't. So I was just like, well, I need to lose as much weight as I can because this is going to hurt my body. So I did 2-a-days for 3 months, and I left Spencer to drive out to Long Beach, California. I weighed 215 pounds at that point. So I'd lost a significant amount of weight before going out on the run, but still, running 20 miles a day at 215 pounds is going to hurt, and it did. And I've still got, plenty of issues from that. But yeah, I had my heels in the ocean at Long Beach Pier at 215, and when I got home, I weighed 175 pounds. So I lost 95 pounds and gained a whole lot of gray hair. You know that as well as anybody.
Yeah.
John cut my hair. I will tell that story. John cut my hair the night before I left.
The night before you left, and then I cut your hair the day that you made it to Gandyville.
Yeah.
The day before you were running into Spencer. And
thank goodness you did, because I looked like a lunatic.
He looked Looked kind of like Happy Gilmore's caddy. Let's just say that at that point. He was a little rough.
I was already graying a little bit
Yeah.
when you cut my hair before the run.
Yeah.
And then on the run, I never cut my hair again. I was
Right.
like, I'm not going to do it. That's fun.
Yeah.
And being out in the sun for 5 months, it bleached my hair pretty blonde. And that first strip you took,
swipe I took up, it was, I was like, whoa, there's a lot more salt these days.
There's a whole lot of salt, lack of pepper. So yeah, 95 pounds. And so I was in tremendous shape, obviously. And you try to sustain that, but, nothing can sustain what I did. Yeah. And I held it together for probably 2 years. Mm-hmm. I stayed active. I stayed jogging. I stayed running.
Yep.
I entered 5Ks and things like that to make sure I was trying to continue to do that. And then life just took over. Yeah. I was so swamped, busy, that certain things took a back seat. And unfortunately, it was my physical health again.
Well, yeah, it was, you're so busy. You're in grad school, you're teaching, you're coaching, you're broadcasting. And something does go by the wayside, and most of the time it's your health. Yeah. So talking a little bit more, when you decided to do this podcast, right? So this is something that we had talked about. Roane General's wanting to do a podcast. It's prescription for your health. All great. At that point, health wasn't the number one thing on your mind. So coming into this podcast, did you ever think that you'd be sitting here in this seat talking about your health?
No. No, not even close. I was not. That was not on the radar. I tend to go pretty hardcore in anything I do, whether it be trying to manage 4 things at once in my 30s or taking over a business, which I did. I bought WVRC radio station in 2021. I was 42 years old. Yeah, 42 when I actually signed the papers for that. And so I had to dig into that business, and I threw myself into that business with reckless abandon, and I had to because I didn't know anything. Mm-hmm. It was in a pretty rough position, and so with all my heart and soul, I put it into that business, and we were still broadcasting a ton. And again, just trying to figure it out and trying to manage, and so my health took a real back seat to it. And yeah, in your 20s, when I got up to 270, you can come back from that. And I did. I did it actually a couple times in my 20s. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the run in my early 30s, came back from it.
Yep.
Yeah, not a problem. Man, when you try to come back from in your mid-40s, that's something that people say, but you don't think about until you're in it. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't really, it was on my radar because I knew I wasn't in good shape. Right. And you can start to tell, you can start to feel it in your body.
Yeah.
And I knew it. We all knew it. You knew it. You could look at me. All of our friends knew it. My family knew it. They knew I wasn't. They knew I wasn't stressed about it in the way that I would have normally been in my early 20s.
Right.
But I just knew that something was not right with me physically. Mm-hmm. And it took a trip to the emergency room and a bad case of pneumonia. Followed by some blood pressure issues, of which I had never had. It wasn't like a hereditary thing. It was, I've caused this.
Yeah.
Followed by another trip to the doctor's office in that I had already gone through pneumonia, which was a scary thing, and then I allowed myself to be in such terribly poor shape that I developed bronchitis in my lungs and was wheezing and didn't even know it and had some severe blood pressure issues to the point where I couldn't leave the doctor's office, would not let me. And just like in my early 30s, 31, when I had that kick in the butt moment that I decided I had to change.
Mm-hmm.
I did it a little crazier that time,
Right.
This time it was you're going to die if you don't change what you're doing. You're going to die.
Yeah.
And you're going to die way earlier than you want to. We're all going to die someday.
Right.
Can't control what I can control, what I can control, which
Right.
is limiting the opportunity
Yes.
to go early. And it was just one of those things. I was like, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I've been through many different ways of doing it. You and I have gone through the gamut
Yes.
of, you know how we do it. We go full bore
Right.
if we're going to go.
Yeah, if it's not 1,000% and we're cutting every single thing out of our diet,
No
and
balance at all.
we're not working out 3 times a day, then we're not doing it right.
No balance at all.
Right.
And so all the things that I'd tried, I knew they weren't sustainable. And I know, having been an athlete, having worked at the fitness center, I know that there's one really true, honest way that you're going to stay healthy for your life, and that is it has to be for life.
Yes.
And you can't go so crazy that you can't sustain it.
Right.
And I guess it just finally took hold. I'm a slow learner. I'm really an idiot, and people who watch this think that I may have some ability. I got to thank Kim Mertz. She's the one that writes up all of our notes for these things. So
wait a minute,
I'm just a
I
slow
wasn't
learner.
told this.
Yeah,
Kim,
sorry.
I could have had.
She's on vacation.
Come on, man.
So yeah, I'm a slow learner, and it just never took before because I never did it the way that I guess you have to do it. And
Right.
so just sitting in that doctor's office mid-March, late March this year, I was like, nope, that's it. You reach rock bottom in different ways in your lives.
Yeah.
And I've reached rock bottom in different ways in my life. And
Right.
that was rock bottom for me, honestly. I said, no more. I got to come out of this. I got to figure out a way that this has got to be something I can sustain because I'm doing these podcasts, as you're right. I'm doing a For Your Health podcast, and I'm as unhealthy as I've ever been in my life.
Right.
And I want to do this. I want to keep doing it.
It's quite the blessing.
Yeah.
You know, without knowing it at the time, and you know, fortunately, your health was still good enough that you could say, okay, I'm going to fix this thing and I'm going to get better. You talked about doing this different times.
Mm-hmm.
Why is this time different?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if it is.
Right.
I've been really honest with you and I in our conversations, you know, and you and I we've either synced up these attempts or we've been real close to trying to work on ourselves and trying to make it something we can sustain.
Mm-hmm.
You got this thing started for me in January.
Yeah.
You started your health journey in January, and you and I have had such good, honest conversations about how we always were.
Yes.
And my fear for you was always, are you going to go full bore crazy?
Yes.
Or are you going to do something that you know you can't sustain?
Yes.
And then you and I go to the state wrestling tournament 2 months after you've started, and I've realized that this is different for you.
Yeah.
It's definitely different for you. You have found something that you can sustain. And I thought, man, if I can just not go crazy,
Right.
maybe I can sustain something. Mm-hmm. And it just became organic. It became, okay, just show up to the gym one time. Get to the gym one time and see if you can manage to figure this out this time. And I knew that in many of my other journeys, I hadn't really focused on lifting weights. And I knew what I had to do is build muscle so I could help burn fat because I had plenty of it. And I knew that I needed to be more active cardiovascularly because I just needed to get my blood pressure down. And I knew that I had to figure out how to eat right. And that doesn't mean doing what we always used to do.
Right.
It just had to be something that I could figure out how to maintain. And thank goodness I'm stubborn. Not in many ways. Many people. Our producer would
Good and bad.
probably think of some ways that he would hate that I'm stubborn. But
yeah,
it's good for the fact that I'm a creature of habit. So once I started the process of figuring out what I could eat right, then it became just a habit.
Yeah.
I found out how much to get, how much I could eat, what to eat. And so it just became pretty easy at the moment. That's the easier part, which is weird. The easier part was the diet.
Yeah.
The hard part continues to be for me. I am scared that I'll quit. I'm 5 months into this thing. And that constant, I never kept it up, is in my head. And I think that may be why it's a little different this time.
Yeah, we've had that conversation many times. We're only 2 months into this thing. We can't look, we're only 6 months into this thing. But you've sustained it very well. And you haven't went off the deep end like we have before in these processes that we've tried to do. And you're right. It's just it's a lifestyle change. And so far, being around you for however many years now,
all my life, basically.
It's been great to watch you get to that point that you're comfortable doing it. It's uncomfortable to have to go to the gym, but you are doing the right things by making the time.
Yeah.
You're doing the right things by prepping your meals, doing the things that, before.
The things I knew I was supposed to do and wouldn't do.
Right.
I knew I was supposed to do that stuff. And to live the life I have to live as a business owner and on the go all the time, you're just going to have to buck up and do what you have to do. And I think in this journey, it's I don't know that it's different than any other time, but it's the wisdom of age and the beauty of youth. The wisdom of age is I know many of the trip hazards. I've failed. And so it's not just me verbalizing it, saying, I'm scared that I'm going to fail this. I'm 5 months in. I couldn't tell you the number of times I've been 5 or 6 or 7 months in.
Yeah.
And been in great shape and then quit.
Yeah.
So my constant fear, and hopefully that's my motivation, continues to be, I can fail at this anytime. I absolutely have the ability to quit. I still, as I say, and I'm honest about this, just for instance, I sent a picture to our group message this morning.
Yes.
I was sitting in my truck outside the gym at 6 a.m. because I'm not a morning person, as you know, because I had too much to do today, and I was not going to have time to get to the gym if I didn't go at 6. And I sat there for 10 minutes with my eyes closed, opening back up, and I'm telling you, right? Still, I could have walked. I could have just driven away and gone home and gone back to bed. I'm making better decisions when it comes to that. I'm forcing myself to do at least that and get to it because I want it to become a habit. Mm-hmm. It is so not a habit, and I pray for the day it becomes a habit. And I talk to many people about that. I'm hoping the sooner the better.
Yeah.
But it may be. I'm a slow learner. It may be 3 to 5 years before this it may never become a habit. So hopefully I continue to fight that in my brain and continue to utilize you guys because I tell you what, get yourself a support system, folks. I'll stare at the camera. Get a support system. I got, with regards to my parents, my sister, and my friends, I have the best support group there is, the best support system. You guys are not my parents have been over time sometimes, but I get it. It comes out of love. But generally speaking, especially right now in my life, no one in my life who has my best interests at heart has ever been pushy about this, has ever called me out on the carpet for being out of shape or anything like that. It's always come from
a place of love
and a place of care.
Yes.
Want us to be the best we can be. And so I am certainly not shy about opening up to you guys and being honest with my fears about what I hope to be able to continue to do, and I hope to not stumble. And if I do,
You have a support system
for hopefully it's for a very small amount of time, because I have finally found, for the first time in all these attempts, if you want to call them that,
Mm-hmm.
I have finally found some balance in my life. I've developed confidence in who I am personally. I've developed some confidence in my ability as a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
I've developed the ability to try to become a better son. I'm sure my mom loves that part of it too. I was talking to her recently again about, I said, I think about my late teens and throughout my 20s for sure. And I look back in severe embarrassment about the way I treated my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And so hopefully I can continue to mend those fences. She would probably be like, oh, you're fine. But maybe she wouldn't. Maybe she'd be like, yeah, you were really bad.
Yeah, it's about time, jerk.
About time, you jerk. And I do. I shake my head and I think, man, what an idiot I was. What a bad son I was. And I say it just in my head, but I've developed confidence in my relationships with my parents, with my family members, in my extended family,
Mm-hmm.
who I had really just kind of ignored or shunned because they had my best interest at heart too, and I didn't want to hear it.
Right.
And you guys, you guys have never been pushy. You've always been there to support me in everything, including this.
Yeah.
By the way, you cut my hair today when you didn't have time, and you came here and you're interviewing me when you don't have time.
Well, it's kind of my fault. I was the one that kind of pushed the whole WVRC thing on you to start with. So.
Yeah, that's a whole nother podcast right there. Yeah, I don't know that it's different this time, John. I don't. I hope it is. I hope that the balance that I feel like I've struck will continue. And I tell you what, one thing I really enjoy, and I'm just going to plug the hospital here, is I really love the Prescription for Your Health program. Although I don't employ all that they have,
Right.
They've got the health coach in Kim Mertz. They've got the nutritionist. They've got physical therapy and rehab. I hope I don't need that for a while. But they've got
great, pretty bad.
They got great trainers. Obviously, Matt's one of our best friends too.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't hurt that he is a trainer here at the Wellness Center, because you want to talk about somebody holding your feet to the fire. He has and will continue to. But what they offer here is something that I never had before, and it's very sobering. I will say that is that in-body scanner that they have here.
Right.
For those of you who don't know, the in-body scanner is a full-body scanner, and what it does is it breaks down more than just your weight. It breaks down your body composition. It breaks down the weight of your arm, the right arm, the weight of your left arm, the weight of your right leg, the weight of your left leg, the weight of your torso, the body fat in those things, the muscle mass in those things. It breaks down so much, because always before, and again, you and I have had a love-hate relationship with a scale.
Yes.
We have chased a scale a lot.
Yeah.
And one thing I love about your journey is I asked you one time, because I was so excited, you had lost like 32 pounds. And then we were like a month later or 2 months later, I was like, dude, you're losing more weight. How much do you? Don't know. I was like, well.
Yeah, that was a big
I was like,
part.
when are you going to? I was like, I don't want to try to talk you back into getting on the scale. And you're like, I don't know. Because it's not as important as how you're starting to feel.
Right.
And so being able for me to see those numbers, because the fear I had sitting in that doctor's office, the visceral fat that I had when I stepped on that in-body scanner, when we first started this podcast, I got on it.
Yeah.
Knowing the numbers were not going to be good. The percentage of fat that I have around my organs was astronomical. My body fat percentage was above 50% of my body was fat.
Yeah.
I was retaining water, and it showed that in my legs. And I won't get into gory details, but there are pictures that may be circulating amongst our group of some swelling in my ankles at times. That
Just
was
a little bit.
like a Pillsbury biscuits that was popped open. Yeah. Yeah, don't you dare. Okay, so in our ear, our buddy and our producer here is like he was going to put that. Please do not put that on the screen of those pictures. Although if you want to get real raw with it, maybe you could. Don't worry about the tan lines.
Right.
So anyways, for me to see those numbers and to be so scared about my overall health at that moment, and then to be another 2 months after that, to see the numbers the way they started to come into line, I got on it May 1st. I got on the in-body scanner, and it was good. It was good numbers. I started this journey at 283 pounds, 50+% body fat. My visceral fat around my body parts, about my organs, was like 21% of the 50. Just brutal numbers, man, brutal. And I had lost 17 pounds. All 17 of the pounds I lost was body fat. I hadn't lost any muscle, which meant, okay, I'm doing enough in the gym.
Yes.
I hadn't lost any water, so I was still hydrated. My sleep was getting better already, and so the next quarter was going to be 3 months later, and that was August 1st. And so I don't know when this podcast is going to come out, but what are we, August 12th? So 12 days ago, I got on again, and I had lost 33 more pounds. 30 of that was body fat. 30 pounds out of the 33 was pure body fat leaving my body. And so looking at my start to now, 50 pounds is 50 pounds. If you've ever lifted a 50-pound dumbbell, you're like, how the heck did I carry that around? What I care most about is my arms and my legs lost like 3 pounds or 5 pounds or 7 pounds a piece of body fat. Right. My torso lost 20 pounds worth of body fat. My visceral fat, the fat around my organs, went from 21% to 12% just in the time I've started this thing. Now, I am at a crucial moment in this journey, if you want to call it, in this lifestyle, I hope.
Yeah.
I'm at the moment where it was wonderful. Yeah, it was great. I'm really happy. I'm proud of the progress I've made. I'm proud that I've stuck to it. But now it becomes, you're not in maintenance phase. You got to keep going. You've got, I don't have goals, specific goals in mind. I don't have a weight in mind. I just want to keep doing it. I guess the goals I have are to get the visceral fat down to where it's really healthy, get the body fat percentage down to where it's really healthy, keep my muscle building, stay hydrated. And other than that, be able to continue to keep the balance in my life, keep the balance in my work, keep the balance in having some enjoyment of my life. Because that was something I never had before. You and I, man, we have stories to tell people. We never had any balance in our journeys, our attempts at weight loss, our attempts at being healthier. We never did it the right way. I hope that this continues. I just hope. I don't know, but I hope.
Well, I will say it's been a fun 7 months. It's been nice. You know, I'm doing something a little different than what you're doing. I'm enjoying watching you with your progress and what you're doing. But we've been able to enjoy a lot of things together, still being buddies, but we've cut a lot of things out. Yeah. That you know, before we were a little too crazy with possibly, you know.
Well, the lifestyle we live, we're on the road a bunch, both of us are. We're constantly moving. You have a gaggle of humans that you're taking care of. You know, we call it your village.
Yeah.
So you got kids going right, left, and center. You got kids in sports. You got this. You got that. You're a pillar of the community. And so how do we find the balance? How do we find the time? How do we find the motivation to stay there? One of the things that motivated me was when I saw your side profile view. Yeah. And I was just like, goodness me, you don't have like the curve underneath your gut anymore.
Right.
it's like, whoa. And that's motivating enough for me to see that you're doing it the right way. Whatever way you're doing it continues to be sustainable for you.
That's the most important thing for me on my journey.
Yeah.
Is just not beating myself up over things that I can't control sometimes, because I do have, a big family that I'm taking care of. I'm coaching, I'm running a business myself. I'm involved in a lot of different things in the community. So there are times when, but if I can keep my diet right, if I can stay hydrated, if I can get my steps in, if I can do those small things, it's all going to add up eventually.
Yeah.
A lot of times you and I have talked, we've said it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And this time for me, I'm going 8 months into this.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. And I don't beat myself up over anything.
I'll tell you this.
I really don't.
I went from, again, those first couple of months, I asked you probably 100 times, you're not going too overboard, are you? You're not going to, like, I'm like a hovering mother.
Right.
Because, and it's like, are you not going overboard? You're now 8 months into it.
Yeah.
I am supremely confident that you have figured it out.
Yeah.
I am happy that I feel like I'm figuring it out.
Right.
I hope. Again, I'm not supremely confident in me because it's me and I know me. And so, but I feel really happy that you have found it. You found a way to do it that works with your life.
Right.
And that's so much fun for me. And what it does is it provides me motivation to stay on what I'm doing. I guess if you want to call it, this is my second cross-continent run.
Mm-hmm.
And this one,
you can't stop running.
I'm 46. Good Lord willing, I live, I don't know, a longer time. I don't know. But I feel like right now I am in Arizona. I got a long way to go, man.
Yeah.
I got a long way to go. And when I reach Spencer again,
you got to keep going.
That'll be, well, when I reach Spencer, I guess that'll be the end. I get to be the end of it. But I'm excited about this. For the first time, I'm excited that I feel like I can maintain this.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, that's
good stuff, man.
It's pretty much most of the questions.
I'm glad that you had some questions written down.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we didn't get too far into the weeds about my miserable 20s. And and I'm glad that, I'm glad that you and I became friends so long ago that we have talked each other into some of the wildest stuff. You talked me into owning a business that I'm very thankful for now. Yeah. And I talked you into interviewing me on a podcast, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, it was a no-brainer for me. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see what the future holds for you, for me. We're kind of doing this thing together, but we're doing it at different paces, at different levels, and that's good. Yeah. Because before you and I would it was all or nothing, and it was we had to do the same things, and
we were like a tag team wrestling duo, the Rock and Roll Express, if you will.
I was going to say the Legion of Doom
that went at this head on and got severe concussions because we didn't do it the right way.
Yeah,
we jumped off the top rope on the concrete.
Right. Well, it's been fun.
Yeah.
It's been great to watch you through the journey, and I have faith in you. You know what I mean? I've got faith that you're going to do it the right way, and keep doing it the right way because you've made it a part of what you're doing now. And that's what we as friends and your family, we kind of expect that now. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, Drew's doing what Drew's doing, and we got a football game we got to go do later on the night, but he's got to get this in. So
I'll be here again at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, staring at that front door.
I'll be doing about 20 haircuts tomorrow because it's the week of school.
John Peña, thank you so much for the interview. That's another episode of For Your Health. This was a first for me, folks. Thank you.